Now, what are the major exclusions? Again, this policy will not pay for. So far, I have discussed what it would pay. Now, I am discussing what it would not pay. Loss discovered only at the time of taking an inventory. This is commonly known as inventory loss. So many times it happens, there is a store manager, and once in a blue moon or after 3 months or 4 months or 6 months interval, when he takes inventory, he finds that there is a shortage of 100 pieces of particular item. He does not know when this shortage has taken place, or somebody has stolen some of the parts, or he has issued instead of 100, there was a counting mistake, he has given 110. So this way, whatever shortage is found at the time of taking an inventory of stocks, these kind of losses are not paid. Then normal wear and tear, this is known as inventory losses. Normal wear and tear, gradual deterioration due to atmospheric condition, rust, scratching and all these things, or polished surface, breakage of glass, loss or damage due to design defect. Design defect, I'll be explaining D1, 2 and 3. Okay, I'll be explaining each one of them. What does it mean? So any loss or damage due to failure of design, defective design is also is not covered. Okay, it is excluded unless it is taken as add-on cover. So this exclusion can be buyback. It can be done. You can pay additional premium and go for D2 or DE3. In absence of this add-on cover, you apply DE1, which says these things, any loss due to defective design is not payable. DE1 says nothing is payable. Then your cost necessary for rectification of correction. This is very important. If there is a fault due to carelessness, bad workmanship, that is covered, but rectification cost is not covered. So what is covered? That is given unless it results into the physical loss or damage to the property under construction. If it leads to damage to other part which were properly constructed. So that kind of faulty construction, that rectification cost, say for example, the contractor realized that this proper beam is not properly constructed, and he understood this is the fault. Now he will have to demolish and reconstruct. So this cost of rectification, the rectification of error, that is not covered. But if it leads to damage to other subsequent portion of the property, nearby portion of the property, so that loss would be paid. Then another is another damage, any damage or penalties on account of insured's non-fulfillment of terms of delivery. So if there are penalties imposed upon the contractor for non-completion of project in time, and there is a contractual liability, so those kind of losses are not payable under CAR policy. This is again very important. Period of cover. Let us understand it properly. Many times we make mistake. It starts from the arrival of first consignment at construction site or commencement of work, whichever is earlier. So starting is very clear. It starts from the date of arrival. Arrival date, ye pata nahi what hey. I was dictating, so it takes hey. It starts from the date of arrival of first consignment at site, and it ends. Okay. It ends on completion and handing over of the project to the principal or on the date as specified in the policy schedule. Now, there are two dates for starting. There are two dates for ending. I'll explain. Starting, if the material has arrived on 1st of July, this is the project starting date. Or even before arrival of material, the work has started. Temporary office they have constructed. So commencement of work or arrival of first consignment at site, whichever is earlier, that is the start, and end whatever date is mentioned. Say, for example, the project is taken for 36 months. So if it is handed before completion of 36 months, then policy ends over there, handing over. But if handing over is not done, project is delayed, then this policy will end after completion of 36 months, irrespective of completion of project or not. Then the insured will have to go for extension of policy. Okay. Now this second part is more important. In case part or sections of the insured contract works, they are taken over or put into use for the intended purpose. This is important. Put into use for the intended purpose by the contractor. Prior to policy expiry date, some portion of the project is completed. It happens invariably in road completion, road projects. Road project is for 50-kilometer construction of road. After completion of 30 kilometers or 35 kilometers of road, remaining 15 is left out. In that case, if that road is put into use, then that portion of 35 kilometer of the road will go out of the purview of this policy. The policy ends for that portion of the project which is put into use, whether it is handed over to the principal or not, because principal do not accept. They take complete handing over at the time of completion of entire 100% of the project. So here comes put into use. Okay. So if something is put into use, say for example, same example I am talking about, if 35 kilometers of the road is put into use, that will go out of the policy. And in that case, the contractor is supposed to take operational cover for that much portion of the road, because CAR policy will not cover. Okay, even though the policy is not expired, policy still continues. So it will continue only for remaining portion of the project which is not put into use. Okay. I think it is clear. And it will go, anything which is completed, which is put into use, it will go out of the coverage. Either it is taken over or put into use, both things. It will go out of the policy coverage, and policy shall cease to pay for loss or damage to such parts, portion or section of the projects. Okay, I gave one example of the road, which happens invariably in case of road. In bridges, it will never happen, because even if 50% bridge is completed, it will never put into use for general public. Okay. But in case of roads, it is very, very much done. 35 kilometers complete, it will be put into use. At the latest, the insurance shall expire on the date specified in the policy. But if the construction work is not completed within that period, company may extend the policy subject to payment of additional premium. Okay. So this may, this word is there, company may, this is highlighted in red color. It is not automatic. And that is why in many cases, this is what is basically requested by the brokers or by the clients at the initial stage, pro rata extension of policies for 6 months, 12 months, if it is agreed beforehand, because it is subject to certain loss ratio. So that time insurance company, they insert a condition, agree for 6 months pro rata extension of policy, provided the loss ratio is below 40%, 50%, 30%, as the case may be. Otherwise, they may decide the extension rate. It will not be pro rata extension. Okay. So policy can be extended.